Hey friends, quick question for you. Would you rather find $100 today or learn a method that could potentially help you save thousands over time? Tricky, right? I mean, who wouldn't want an extra $100 bill in their pocket right now? But here's the thing, while that instant cash is tempting, understanding how to manage and budget your money can lead to more dollars saved in the long run. That's why today, I'm taking you behind the scenes into my own world of finances. It's not some big Wall Street secret or fancy algorithm. Nope, it's just how I manage my paycheck every single month. And, fun fact, it's not the 50/30/20 rule. Though shout out to that classic, I've already got a video on it if you're curious. Now you might be thinking, why should I care about your budgeting routine? And I get it, but think of it this way. Just as we swap life hacks, share recipes, or recommend our favorite TV shows to each other, I want to share this piece of my life in the hopes it might make yours a little easier. So, are you in? Subscribe now and let's get started with one. Setting clear financial goals. A couple of years ago, I was in the same boat. My goal? Travel more. Pretty vague, right? Then, on a random Tuesday, I stumbled upon a picture of the Northern Lights, and it hit me. I didn't just want to travel more. I wanted to see that magical dance in the sky. That image was my light bulb moment. It transformed my tiny goal into something tangible. Save $3,000 for a trip to see the Northern Lights by December. Having a clear goal shifted my mindset drastically. Each time I opted to save money from impulse buys, I pictured myself under those shimmering lights. It made my sacrifices feel worth it and even kind of fun. When you specify your goals, you can then break them down into bite-sized pieces. For my Northern Lights trip, I divided the $3,000 by the number of months left till December. Suddenly, the mountainous $3,000 became a more digestible monthly saving goal. And you know what? By November, not only had I saved enough, but I even had a bit extra. So step 1, get specific. Instead of saying, I want a new phone, try, I want to buy the specific model of phone that costs $1,000 by June. See the difference? Now, here's where my little notebook comes into play. Every month, I sit down with my trusty notebook and jot down my financial goals. Big ones, small ones, and sometimes even silly ones. It not only keeps me on track, but also gives me this amazing sense of accomplishment when I get to tick one off. And, hey, if you're tech savvy, there are tons of apps that can help you track these goals. Use whatever method gets you pumped. Lastly, always review and adjust. Life's unpredictable. Adjust your goals, recalibrate, and keep moving forward. 2. Immediate obligations. Yep, we're diving into that big slice of the pie, the 60%. Now, you might wonder, why such a big chunk? Picture this. It's the end of the month and you're vibing to your favorite playlist, maybe even planning a weekend getaway. Then suddenly, a forgotten bill hits you. Suddenly, those weekend plans go out the window, replaced by that all too familiar anxiety. Sounds familiar? Well, allocating a good chunk like 60% to cover all those necessary expenses means you're less likely to have these moments. When I say essential bills and obligations, I'm talking about the non-negotiables. Rent or mortgage, non-negotiable. Keeping the lights on, absolutely essential. And let's not even get started on groceries because, hey, a person's gotta eat, right? A few years back, a friend of mine, Jane, realized she was overpaying for her electricity bill. So what did she do? She shopped around, compared rates, and switched providers. That small change saved her hundreds over the year. This is a great reminder to review our bills regularly. Now, some of you might be thinking, but what if my essentials don't take up 60%? First off, high five. But secondly, and more importantly, don't just rush to spend that surplus. It can act as a buffer for those months when unforeseen expenses creep up. Now, if you're in a city or situation where living expenses eat up more than 60%, don't panic. You're not alone. Many people these days are grappling with rising costs. The key here is to prioritize. Maybe you can't have that cable subscription, gym membership, and monthly magazine, but you can choose one. Remember, budgeting isn't about depriving yourself. It's about making choices that align with your current situation. To make this 60% allocation easier, I have a little hack. I've set up my bank account so that as soon as my paycheck lands, 60% of it is automatically transferred to a separate account labeled bills and essentials. This simple step keeps me disciplined. Out of sight, out of mind. 3. Savings and investments. There's just something exhilarating about watching your money grow, don't you think? When I talk about allocating 20% of my paycheck for savings and investments, I'm talking about building a solid future. This isn't just about having money in the bank for a rainy day, although that's crucial too, but it's also about making our money work for us. Let's unpack this a bit. Savings. Let's start with the basics. Everyone should have an emergency fund. Think of it as your financial safety net. Life's unpredictable. You might suddenly need to replace a broken appliance or, heaven forbid, face an unexpected medical issue. Having an emergency fund gives you the confidence to face those unforeseen situations without panicking. Investments. Now onto the exciting bit. Investing is all about making your money multiply. Think of it like planting a seed and watching it grow into a tree over time. A good investment today could mean a more comfortable and secure tomorrow. It might sound daunting, but with all the tools and resources available today, you don't need to be a Wall Street wizard to get started. Back in the day, I was wary of investing. Too many numbers, too many risks. But after attending a basic investment workshop, my perspective changed. I started small, perhaps with just a fraction of that 20%. But over time, as I became more confident and educated, that percentage grew. Whether it's stocks, bonds, or real estate, find what resonates with you and always do your research. I got a friend who invested $5 every single day. If you want to know how much he earned after a year and 6 months, you better watch the video in the description box. Such an inspiring story. 4. Personal spending. Imagine it's the weekend, and there's that new movie everyone's been raving about, or maybe a new restaurant opened up in town with dishes that look like they've been sent straight from heaven. We all deserve to indulge a bit, right? That's where this glorious 10% comes into play. I like to think of this portion as my treat yourself fund. A while back, I was absolutely obsessed with this stunning pair of sneakers. You know the kind, limited edition. But they were a tad over my usual shoe budget. Rather than impulse buying, a bad habit I'm still working on, by the way, I held back and let my personal spending account do its magic. Every month, a bit went in, and soon enough, I had enough to snag those sneakers without any financial guilt. It was a win-win. The beauty of allocating 10% for personal spending is that it strikes a balance. It gives you the freedom to enjoy the present while ensuring you're not compromising your future. Also, by separating this from my main account, I'm more aware of my limits. If I see a concert ticket or a gadget that's more than what's in my personal spending account, it's either a hard pass or a wait until next month scenario. It's like having a built-in financial self-control mechanism. Now, a small note for everyone. This isn't a rigid rule. Maybe some months you save up this 10% for something bigger in a few months. Maybe other times you decide to treat a loved one or splurge on a self-care day. Life is all about flexibility and adaptability after all. So, out of curiosity, is there something you've been eyeing recently? Maybe a gadget, a fashion item, or an experience? Drop a comment below and let me know. Who knows, we might even end up being twinsies with the same purchase. 5. Continuous learning and growth. Continuous learning is superpower. With the pace at which the world changes today, keeping ourselves updated isn't just a good to have, it's an absolute must. That's where my 5% goes in. A few years back, I came across an online course on digital marketing. It wasn't cheap, and honestly, I was a bit on the fence. Eventually, I took the plunge. And believe me, it wasn't just a course, it was an investment. Not only did it add a new skill set to my repertoire, but it also opened doors to opportunities I hadn't even thought of. That's the magic of continuous learning. It's like giving yourself an upgrade. I've found that having a designated 5% for this purpose does a couple of things. Firstly, it ensures I never have to pass up on a growth opportunity because of financial constraints. And secondly, it acts as a reminder that I should be on the lookout for ways to expand my horizons. Investing in stocks or property is fantastic, but investing in oneself, that's where the real magic happens. It's the kind of investment that pays dividends in richer experiences, broader perspectives, and yes, often in monetary terms too. 6. Getting back. You know, I once read a quote that stuck with me: "We rise by lifting others." It's simple yet profound. And that's precisely the sentiment behind allocating 5% of my paycheck for giving back. A few winters ago, I chanced upon an initiative to distribute blankets to the homeless in my city. Instead of just donating a blanket or two, I used a portion of my designated 5% to buy a bunch. The gratitude and warmth I felt that day, it was indescribable. It was a gentle reminder that often, a small act on our part can mean the world to someone else. Giving back isn't just about money. It's also about time, effort, and intention. Whether it's volunteering at a local shelter, participating in community drives, or even just mentoring someone, every act of kindness adds value to the world. By setting aside a specific 5%, I'm constantly reminded of my responsibility towards the community and the world at large. And you know what's truly magical? The more you give, the richer you feel, not just in your wallet, but in your heart and soul. Remember, in a world where you can be anything, be kind. And sometimes that kindness can start with just 5% of your paycheck. So here's my personal paycheck money budget routine. It's been effective for me, and I genuinely hope you can pick up a thing or two from it. Remember, personal finance is just that personal. What works for one person might not work for another, so always tailor routines to fit your lifestyle and needs. Thanks for watching, guys.